Hey you all, Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the north, more specifically, Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And more specifically than that, I am in front of the Paul Bunyan Logging Museum. As you can see, I am joined by Mr. Paul Bunyan himself, along with his trusty blue ox, Babe. Now, as far as American folklore goes, it doesn't get much bigger than Paul Bunyan. I always loved hearing the stories of Paul Bunyan. He's kind of this Superman, this folk hero that literally is larger than life. He's as big as you want him to be, and depending on what story you're telling, he could be, he could be 10 feet tall, he could be 20 feet tall, he could be Godzilla sized, just whatever fit the story, whatever ridiculous thing he needed to do. If he needed to create the Grand Canyon, because he stomped his foot too hard, or if he created the ocean because he hocked a loogie, and it would take 50 men to make his pancakes in the morning. Just these big giant stories. It reminds me of the Saturday Night Live sketch, the Bill Brasky sketches, where they just tell these they tell these most ridiculous traits of this man just to get a rise. You're gonna see all the old lumberjacks getting all drunk. I heard that Paul Bunyan ate 50 grizzly bears every morning. And the other guy's like, I heard that Paul Bunyan lived on Mars and only ate Tootsie Rolls. That probably wasn't a very good story. But they have a museum here. It is dedicated to Paul Bunyan and logging itself, because in addition to being a symbol for America, a symbol for American storytelling, is also a symbol of the American lumberjack. So we're going to check this museum out. Follow me. The little mill here, unfortunately, Babe tells us, sorry Paul, some of the men were playing a little rough. This exhibit's closed for maintenance. Dang it, why were the men playing so rough with the mill? There's a Paul Bunyan whiskey decanter. I believe those are Babe and Paul salt shakers. Oh, there's an animation cell with Babe the Blue Ox with the Pink Panther. Here's some of Paul Bunyan's personal effects. We got his mittens right there. This is Paul's salt shaker. It looks like a stump. Yeah. I wonder if his actual salt granules were bigger, because the holes would let out a lot of salt. I mean, he just lets it fly. He likes a big salty steak. There's his spoon and his knife. Not sure why he doesn't use a fork. Check this out. We have Paul Bunyan's boot crushing through the ceiling. Just a big stomp through the museum top. Oh, this is interesting. This is the pan that they would use to cook for Paul Bunyan. Of course, it's the size of several men, so they would have to put butter on their feet and ice skate around to get the pan all lubed up. And here's the pan here, and here's some tabs of butter for us to strap to our feet. This is a game where you toss this rope around these pegs and try to get the best job in the camp. Of course, the best job is being Paul Bunyan himself, then a normal lumberjack, then a cook, a blacksmith, or a lowly clerk. Let's see. Apparently I just didn't get hired. This exhibit has also been destroyed by men playing too rough. Dang it. Oh, it says do not spin the tumbler fast. I bet someone came along and spun the tumblers fast. So I guess it would have happened if you line these up right. Then you see Paul right here would swing this axe and chop down these trees. You can see the pendulum here. See all the happy forest critters along there. And there's Babe, the big paper mache ox. Look at me. The greatest sportsman that ever lived. Wait, what's the photo up here? Am I just in a headlock by Paul Bunyan? And here is some section on non-fictional lumberjacks. You have the axe right there. There's a branding iron. These lumberjacks look somber. So this ball belonged to Fred Shorty Duloc. As he would perform stunts on it, he became good at it, you know, rolling on top of logs, and then transformed it into a traveling act. Very cool. Here's some log stamps. It's just like, I guess, branding a cow, but even more like, this log belongs to me, hands off. Here's some logging camp cookware. Of course, for normal sized men, you could just use a spatula to butter the pan instead of having to use an ice skating technique. Some spiked logging shoes belonging to Wilbur Webb Marks. I'm guessing is a famous lumberjack. Here's something called a pine marten. How you doing, little guy? Looks like the lumberjacks have took their coats off. They're gonna stay a while. Got a taxidermy deer. Ooh, something up there on that log right there. Oh, and up there, there's a coyote floating in the clouds, howling to the heavens. It's a snowshoe hare. I love his weird ears and his big giant feet. It's a river otter. And then a mean old mink. Some various types of trees, the good old paper birch. I used to have one of these in my yard growing up, and then it died. I noticed there's some very tiny baby fawns down there in the forest floor. The lumber baron exhibit, so I guess why Paul and his buddies are out in the woods working and sweating and doing honest labor. These guys are sitting home with their fancy sleds, sipping fancy tea out of their fancy cups, under their fancy portraits, wearing their fancy fur coats. This is interesting. I think this mural here kind of almost embodies Paul Bunyan in almost a Christ-like capacity. Some things that show kind of how Paul Bunyan was used in advertising in this area. Paul Bunyan lanes. It's like a Paul Bunyan Ken doll. Ooh, Paul Bunyan beer. Wonder if that was some good beer. There's Paul Bunyan pancake flour. Oh, and they even have a marionette of Paul Bunyan and Babe. It's the Disney version of Paul Bunyan. See right there. Then we have a Paul Bunyan bobblehead doll right there. Little toy. He's riding Babe. A lot of liquor and beer dedicated to Paul Bunyan. Oh, there's a Paul Bunyan nutcracker for Christmas time. And there's a Paul Bunyan quilt. That is something I can get behind. Out back behind the museum they have some outbuildings. Here's Paul, surrounded by some of his woodland friends. He's holding two bears. I was gonna say baby bears, but he's a giant, so maybe those are full-sized bears. There does appear to be a bald eagle perched on top of his hat. There's a chainsaw carved Paul. Almost looks like a Paul Bunyan Santa Claus hybrid. This is their cook shanty right here. This says, "Hi, I'm Greg Devine, foreman. To hear my story, press the green plunger."
Horse manure and does minor road maintenance. A teamster who moves logs out of the woods with oxen or horses. A skidder who moves logs farther away, usually to a river where they will be floated downstream in the spring. And a decker who rolls them into a pile 4 to 10 feet high. Tyler, clerk, and a few
We enter into the dining hall. Oh, you can just imagine the lumberjacks lined up laughing. Their manly laughter, eating dozens and dozens of pancakes. That's all they eat, pancakes. And here is the bunk area, the bunkhouse, if you will, where the lumberjacks all got their good night's sleep. I bet it smelled a little bit musky in here after all these large men had a hard day's work. But they could curl up with their little quilts and put their sleepy eyes to rest. Headed into the barn here, where they keep their blue oxen. There's a time capsule buried here. I wonder if it's a Paul Bunyan sized time capsule. I wonder if it contains like a 20-foot axe. Now, when I was in the Paul Bunyan Museum, they actually sold me a dual ticket where I could also go next door to the Chippewa Valley Museum. It's, I guess, a local museum, and the local museums always have a few interesting things in them, so let's check this out. This is canoe country. You can see this old Native American hut full of dead foxes. Chaos reigns. What's in this drawer right here? Oh, it's a delicious bass. Boo. Welcome to Vacation Land. This is the Clearwater Lodge. Got to have a little lakeside cottage here. Oh, look at that refrigerator with all the delicious food samples in it. Looks like they've got some puppets. Chaos reigns. Check out these fish. They've all died and floated to the top. So, exhibit on harvesting traditions. People were asked, what is your favorite wild food? It says raspberry and blackberries, strawberries, sausage, and blueberries. Somebody put hot Cheetos. In fact, a lot of people put hot Cheetos. There's the milking section. Oh, there's a cow in a headlock. Oh, there's a little barn dog. Sounds like there's like haunted house noises in here. Exhibit on how to take care of calves. This giant calf bottle. Here you go, buddy. You done? Okay, good. Here the kids can pretend they're dairy workers, complete with a working time clock. Nice. Got some steely determination in that cow's eyes. Go down here, you can see the milking apparatus works. This doesn't still work, does it? See what's inside of the church. Oh, look. They're having a potluck. What do we got here? Some delicious looking gelatinous foods. These little Jello cups. Appreciate you guys joining me today. If you'd like to see other locations that I visited, please check out the interactive map in the description. It'll show you all the places I've been, all the roadside attractions, amusement parks, haunted houses, and other random fun stuff. If you'd like to help support the channel, consider buying a t-shirt. Consider donating to Patreon. A $3 or more donation will get you a postcard once a month. But for now, this one's in the back.